Hey, sounds familiar. That's because it's Mumford and Sons. But which song? Yes, I know that's a bit of a generalization and over exaggeration of both the genre and the band, but let's be honest, bands like Mumford and Sons is why this joke kind of exists. And you know what? They kind of own it, and you can tell that from this album. It sounds just like the rest of their stuff. So if you like Mumford and Sons, you're probably gonna like this. But here's the thing, folk music is sort of having a resurgence of late, and bands that Mumford and Sons may have influenced are kind of outpacing them. But you know, that's just the way life goes sometimes. The young eat the old. There are moments on this album where there are some genuine interesting moments, but those moments get clouded under repetition and a reluctance to step outside their signature sound. Mumford and Sons is a British folk rock indie pop maybe band formed in London in 2007. Their heavy Americana influences helped spearhead that sort of folk revival in 2010, paving the way for bands like Lumineers or Monsters and Men. And you know what? They achieved a significant amount of mainstream success, which is quite impressive for a folk band of the time. Personally though, their style was never really my thing, though I have recently gained a better appreciation for folk music and do enjoy quite a bit of it. That being said, listening to this album, especially in comparison to other folk artists and albums that are out now, it's kind of underwhelming. Rushmere, the band's fifth studio album, clocking in at just over 34 minutes long. Rushmere is neither a bad listen nor is it really a good one either. It often just feels like a rehash of their old work, perhaps in an attempt to cater on that resurgence of country and folk and, you know, make it a little bit poppy as well to try and hit that wider audience. Leading the album with the track Malibu, which kind of sets the tone for the rest of the album. This lovely summer day strumming of the guitar, followed by that singer-guitar duet, which does kind of feel overplayed at this point, but you know, it does work for them, so why not? And Marcus's sort of raspy voice here works really well too. But if I'm being totally honest, I'm losing interest already. It sounds perfectly fine, but it's just kind of boring. Around the 2-minute mark, the song builds up into a chorus of voices, the banjo comes in, heavier guitars, you know, gang vocals, and for me, suddenly the mix becomes a bit muddy. Individually, these elements work well, if not slightly overplayed at this point, but together they seem to clash rather than complementing each other. Things then pick up with the song Caroline, which I quite enjoyed more than the opener anyway. Marcus Mumford's vocals here sounding quite solid, showcasing some real nice skill there as well. The instrumentation is pumpier whilst maintaining that country twang. Lyrically, it appears to be about maybe a toxic relationship or something, but nothing in particular stands out, except perhaps the chorus in which the name Caroline just sort of sticks in your head because it's the only thing you can remember. And then, of course, the gang vocals come in again. It's a sound we all know and love from the band anyway. Following this to the title track Rushmere, named after the pub where the band first met, I believe. It's a reflective, somewhat vague song about the before times that, you know, rich successful bands love to sing about. That classic Mumford and Sons banjo makes a nice return here. The quieter moments here stand out for me more so than the busier layered sections anyway. However, the song's final moments do seem to evoke a bit more emotion than the rest of it, especially through his vocals and the interplay of instrumentation here. Time to sit by the fire with Monochrome. This song is a more relaxed, twangy acoustic number, and I think the group vocals work better here because there's not much going on, so there's more emphasis on them and everything sort of doesn't sound so busy and muddy, really feeding into that cozy aesthetic. It's cheesy but listenable. Lyrically, it seems to be a simple love song, but it gets the job done. There are some songs that start off promising, like Truth, with this funky bass line, this muted guitar strum, making it seemingly one of the more interesting tracks sonically. However, it ultimately just ends up sounding like something you'd hear on a country line radio station or something. Nothing particularly unique or exciting, and that's kind of all over this album. And that's kind of how it goes with the next song, Where It Belongs. Another slow, heartfelt track. Again, not bad, but not great either. Just vocals and a guitar. It's a bit more intimate than the others. Potentially about a breakup or a loss of the friend. The lyrics here are nice, again, simple, but you know, they do the job well. The piano introduction adds a nice bit of variety as well, I thought. But overall, again, it's not particularly memorable or anything. And, you know, what's new? Everything on Rushmere blends together, apart from a few standouts here and there. All the songs might as well be titled Mumford and Sons Song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because whilst you know it's them, there's a good chance you might not even be able to name the track. It isn't until Blood on the Page that, you know, something a bit more interesting happens. That's because it's a collaboration with Madison Cunningham. That extra vocal that she brings adds something that makes it sound a bit more fresh. Even though it's simple, it just adds an extra layer. But even then, the song isn't that groundbreaking either. This album is safe. It's exactly what you'd expect from Mumford and Sons, which, depending on how you feel, you might love it or you might hate it. But either way, it's completely average. If you love their signature sound, then Rushmere might be a comforting album for you. But if you were hoping for something a bit more new, adventurous, then yeah, just give it a miss. Mumford & Sons' biggest challenge at this point feels like keeping up with the folk resurgence that they kind of created. Whilst other acts in the genre right now are kind of pushing boundaries and exploring new themes, Mumford & Sons seem content to stick within their well-worn formula. And you know what, there's nothing wrong with that. If it works for them and they enjoy it, hell yeah. But it does make for an album that feels like background music than something you want to recommend to your friends or, you know, something you want to buy. So is Rushmere worth your time? Yeah, if you're a long-term fan, I think you're going to enjoy this. But if you're looking for something fresh in the folk space, no. There's plenty out there that you could get along with way better than this. So with all of that, I think I would give this album a 4.5 out of 10. Yes, sorry, I look like absolute trash at the minute. I've been a bit ill, my health, and everything's busy. I'm trying to like juggle everything at once, so that's why it's been a few weeks. I have a lot more album reviews that I've written. I just need to film them and get them out there, like Aya and things like that that are coming out soon. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time very, very much. So please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you like, and hopefully catch you on the next one. Goodbye.